China was first united during the Qin dynasty, in the 3rd century BCE. However, it fell apart after the collapse of the Han dynasty in the 3rd century CE but was reunited by the Sui dynasty in the 6th century CE. Unfortunately, there were only 2 Sui emperors because they forced the poor to work on many building projects. Many of them died doing this work, and so the poor rebelled. The Tang dynasty replaced them and lasted from 618 to 907 CE. During this time, the Chinese lands were expanded, recapturing land lost since the Han dynasty collapsed and taking over new lands. This large empire required many government officials to help the emperor run it. To choose these officials, there was a civil service exam to pass. At first, even though it was open to all men, only the rich could afford to spend the time learning what would be needed to pass the exam. Later in the Tang dynasty, an emphasis was placed on actually being skilled and right for the job, rather than just rich, and more men from lower classes started to take the exam. Due to the size of the empire, it needed too many officials and soldiers to help run and protect it. Therefore, the government, in the late 8th century CE, started to introduce higher taxes for everyone. This, along with attacks by enemies in the west, led to the Chinese people rebelling and attacking the Tang capital city of Chang'an, burning much of it to the ground. The Tang dynasty then collapsed. Over the next c.50 years, there were a series of civil wars, with people setting up their own little kingdoms and claiming to be the emperor of China. It was known as the 5 Dynasties and 10 Kingdoms period. Eventually, a general, named Zhao Kuangyan, reunited China and became the first emperor of a new Song dynasty, Emperor Taizu. The Song dynasty never managed to recapture the lands they had lost, but did prosper. Enemies to the north, known as the Jin, were kept at bay by paying tribute. Unfortunately, in the 12th century CE, the Jin decided to conquer northern China. This forced the Song to flee, and set up a new dynasty in southern China, the Southern Song. They set up a new capital at Huangzhou and managed to flourish due to their trade. The Southern Song then asked the Mongols for help in defeating the Jin, and this led to their downfall. Under Genghis Khan, the Mongols defeated the Jin and took over northern China. Kublai Khan, Genghis' grandson, then decided to attack and take over southern China too. The Song were finally defeated in 1279 CE. The Tang and Song dynasties were a period of innovation and growth for China. As well as the population growing to over 100 million, many technological advancements were made. Woodblock printing, Tang, and movable type printing, Song, blocks of letters could be arranged to allow for quick printing of pages, replacing woodblock printing where a whole page was carved for printing. This allowed books to be produced for less, which improved literacy in the empire. Gunpowder, Tang and Song, used by the Tang for fireworks, and later developed into weapons such as bombs and grenades, by the Song. This obviously strengthened the military might of the empire. Porcelain, Tang, a type of ceramic made from materials only found in China. It was used to make plates, bowls, cups, vases, etc., which were then sold to other countries. This increased the wealth of the empire. Paper money, Song. The usage of paper money meant that it was much easier for traders, as they did not have to carry huge quantities of metal coins with them. Magnetic compass, Song. A device with a magnetized needle that floated on water, showing north and south. It had been used by the Chinese on land for centuries, but was now used to help travel more accurately at sea. This helped with both trade and with improving the country's navy. Changes occurred in other areas too. In agriculture, a new type of rice was found in the 11th century CE, that allowed for 2 harvests a year instead of 1. It was also more resistant to droughts, requiring less water. This was needed to help feed the growing population of the empire. Tea also became popular during the Song dynasty due to the Emperor Huizong liking to drink it. The arts also flourished during this time. Poetry was highly valued during the Tang dynasty, and painting became popular during the Song dynasty. Socially, the power of the rich faded during these dynasties. Scholars joined the upper classes, and a new middle class was created by merchants and skilled laborers. Unfortunately for women, things got worse for them if they were from the upper classes. They had always had to be subservient to men, But during the Song dynasty, the practice of binding their feet began, which crippled them for life. During the Tang dynasty, Taoism and Buddhism were the main religions followed, along with a few other foreign religions. Later on in the Tang dynasty, Confucianism became more popular again. People were mostly allowed to follow whichever religion they wanted. Buddhism was popular among the lower classes, whilst Confucianism was popular amongst the upper classes.